Back to the show, Morning Barakah. Practicing Islamic women who pursue or pursuing religious education, they encounter various limitations, which are rooted in, essentially, they're rooted in a lot of, where are we now? Yeah, they're rooted in very cultural, societal, and institutional norms. Because, I mean, it's absurd to even think that in some conservative communities there exists a deeply ingrained kind of patriarchal mindset that actually restricts women's access to religious knowledge and leadership roles within the religious institutions, especially considering what the Prophet and our holy Imams have mentioned in regards to this matter. Now, there are myths out there that women should primarily focus on domestic responsibilities rather than pursuing scholarly pursuits. And additionally, limited educational opportunities and resources may even impede their access to formal religious education. Now, despite these challenges, however, many Muslim women are actively challenging these limitations, advocating for equal opportunities and equal rights, as well as being able to contribute to Islamic discourse and leadership. One such young woman residing in Manchester, especially in England, is a Hawza student, author, and motivational speaker, Sister Syeda Mehdi Rizvi, who has garnered quite a following on social media due to her inspiring posts on Islamic values. And she joins me online today. So, Syeda assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much for having me. It's really an honor.
Pleasure to have you on the show. So, look, first and foremost, can you give us I guess, an introduction into overall the female historical figures in Islam who pursued or were known for religious education?
Okay. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. First off, I'd like to start off with the fact of a woman playing a big role in Islam. There are a lot of misconceptions saying that women can't do certain roles, or women should be, limited in what they do. However, when we see in Islamic history, the main leads and in the front line, we've always seen female roles. Like if you see the role towards, supporting wilaya, we see Lady Zara Salamullah alaiha. And then again, when we see a figure in Karbala, when she took on the role of Abbas, when she took on the role of Hussein as her brothers, we see Lady Zainab Salamullah alaiha. Both of them were brave. They showed us that women, when they are when there are restrictions on the males in their family, they have the opportunity. They can speak the truth. They can get out there and spread the message of truth. And when we speak about women and men, Islam really emphasizes on the fact of them being equal. Their roles might differ. Their ahkam rulings might differ. Obviously, their genders are different. Their looks may be different. One is known for logic. One is known for beauty. That's obviously in more depth when you go into the Quran tafsir. Again, that goes with knowledge. If we self-study and educate ourselves, we need to know the difference between the both genders. So they are equal, but their roles might differ. So that shows us that in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the eyes of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, women and men should do the same work. They should take on the role of Islam together and put the message of truth out there together. So as we see the roles of women in history, as we see Lady Zahra, we have a story with that once a lady in Medina came up to her and she kept on asking her questions on and on, to a point where she started to feel embarrassed, and she apologized. She was like, Lady Zahra, I feel sorry that I keep asking you questions. So then Lady Zahra, without hesitation, she came up. She's like, you do not know what you're doing right now. You're asking and I'm answering the questions. And the reward for this is placing each pearl from the floor to the highest, sky in heaven. So,
Yeah.
which means she told us that at that time, Lady Zahra Salamullah told us that women need to be educated, that if someone comes up to her and asks her regarding her religion, she has the knowledge. She knows what she needs to say. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, we get a quote on the other side. He said, if someone does not say, I don't know, will soon meet his destruction. Which means we need to know and we need to question, and there's nothing wrong in not knowing. Islam really emphasizes on the fact of, asking questions, getting out there, and attaining God's mercy.
Of course.
It's really important to ask questions. There's nothing wrong in not knowing something,
Yeah.
because in Tawheed al-Mufazzal, our sixth Imam has said that Allah brought down people without aql, so then they can water their aql with the knowledge of Allah and Rasul, Prophet Muhammad. And
Okay.
then,
Okay.
if we shed light on the first verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever revealed, what was it? It was A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He said, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi. He said, read in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't say men read. He didn't say only women read. He said read, and the audience was everyone. So he said basically, I'm gonna reveal a book to you guys, and it's very important for you to be educated and read for the sake of me. And on the other side, we get another quote from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He says that knowledge is the lamp of intellect in Biharun al-Anwar, which means that we have aql, we have the ilm, but we need to water it with knowledge.
Right.
We've
Right.
got the intellect, but we need to water it with knowledge.
So, Syeda, if I can ask you now in terms of bringing this discussion, so there are historical figures, female historical figures, who gave a massive importance to pursuing religious education. The Prophet has advocated for it, the Imams have advocated for it. So, what about in this day and age? Why is it important for women in this day and age to have a better religious understanding of their faith?
Amazing question. First off, just like how technology is advanced and up to date, just like that, our ilm and our Islam and the context of Islam, keeps updating. We have new ahkam rulings, we have new problems coming in front of us, which we need as women and as men. We need to be up to date and educated on that. And the main reason is where we have to be extra in depth in research and understanding is because our Imam is in Ghaiba, right?
Okay.
And we can't obviously go ask him directly. We've got, we've got our marajas, obviously. But for that, we need to be educated in case, just to prepare for the Imam of our time. So if, for example, for women, we really need to have the knowledge so we can pass it on to our children.
Right.
And don't think of, the upbringing of children or righteous children is a small job. If even a woman raises a virtuous, amazing, like even one person, she's done a huge job to the society. She's been, because you just don't raise children, you're raising a society.
Yeah.
So a mother's lap is basically the first step of knowledge. So if, as a 20-year-old young woman, if I think about my future, if I don't know anything about my religion myself, how would I pass it on to my children? And how would I expect them to act upon it when I myself didn't know what I had to do, what I had to
Yeah.
do in my
Yeah.
age? So it's really important to stay up to date with the knowledge of Islam, because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has said that that person is not a part of my ummah who is not up to date with what's going around in the world and up to date with any knowledge. So it's really important for us. The main reason, just to answer your question, is so we can pass it on and prepare our children for Imam Zaman Ajal Fajr Sharif. That's the main reason.
Okay, so look, talking culture, I mean, we're not able to talk about female religious education without talking about the current culture and the patriarchal society that we live in. Men are, of course, given priority when it comes to religious education. Scholars are all pretty much all men. The women scholars are hidden away and they teach their own private lessons. So considering all this, what are the perceptions of women pursuing an Islamic education in the West, how are women perceived from a West perspective?
Very good question again. I'd say, first of all, again, if we gain knowledge and if we have the understanding of Islam itself, what our main problem here is we always mix the Western culture with Islam.
Okay.
Whereas if you look at Islam, Islam gives both genders, like they give, it gives women and men their own specific roles.
Yeah.
So it's like women are allowed to, go out there and spread the truth. They are allowed to go out there and take the, the lead.
Yeah.
In other words, but if you look
Yeah.
at the Western society, it's actually there are a lot of misconceptions regarding like, oh, women should be, not being, they shouldn't take the role of a leader or anything. But if you look
Yeah.
at, again, if you go back to history, we see that Lady Zahra and Lady Zainab in the era of Jahiliyyah, when people used to think that girls are bad luck when they were born in, in the houses. So at that time, Lady Zainab started off Hawza. She used to teach women, and she used to, give them dars on public speaking, on the Quran. And there's a story in Bihar and Alwa when Lady Zahra was going, home with Imam Ali after marriage.
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad says to her that, I gave you the knowledge of the Quran, my daughter, and I know for sure that's going to be the most helpful thing for you. So that's what we see in history, and when you compare it to Western culture, I'm someone who's living in a Western society, and alhamdulillah, it's on raising and the upbringing of children. It's about the
Yeah.
environment, and it's really important to have your company with righteous and intelligent people in order to know what's right and wrong.
Can I ask you,
And
Syeda?
the more knowledge you have, yeah.
I was going to
Sorry.
say, can I ask you, what's your opinion on females having more of a leading role when it comes to Islamic positions?
Okay, I love it. I mean, I would always convince and persuade. I would always encourage the fact of women taking the lead. There's nothing wrong in that, because if you see like the greatest people of mankind, the hadith from Prophet Muhammad, he said there were four women. It was Lady Maryam, Lady Asiya, Lady Khadija, and Lady Fatima. There were
Okay.
no male.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not like, okay, again, there's no comparison
Yeah.
in the both roles. They're equal in Islam. Obviously their roles may differ, but the fact of taking the lead position, if you see in Islam, there were women who were in the front line all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Because Imam Hussein, for example, if you take the example of Karbala, Imam Hussein sacrificed himself, but who told us that he did that? It was Lady
Yeah.
Zainab,
Then. Yeah.
Salaam
Yeah.
alayha. And in the era where, in Medina, Lady Zahra went out there and she went door to door to spread the message. She could have been like, no, I'm a lady, I should stay at home. No, because she said, if there's a chance to spread the truth, I will go out there as a woman. And that's what Islam says.
Yeah.
And it's
So
really
okay.
important in order to, yeah.
Sorry to cut. Okay, so let me pose this question to you. So what you've mentioned was Sayyida Zainab, Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, and the argument is that look, they are ma'soom, and or Sayyida Zainab in her status, she has a minor asma. In the sense that Fatima Zahra, you can't compare yourself to Fatima Zahra. When she went out, she had a mission. However, the women of our age, in this age, they shouldn't be in the public. They shouldn't be on TV, for example. They shouldn't be on social media. What's your opinion on that?
Again, I'll be straight up, educate yourselves, because there's nothing wrong in a woman coming up unless she's absorbed, if she's observing her full hijab, if she's out there for a meaningful purpose, if she's out there
Yeah,
to spread Islam, a woman can do anything. Literally, a woman can do anything in the name of Islam.
yeah,
Again, the main thing is hijab.
yeah,
We've seen that. Again in Karbala. Obviously, I'm going to relate back to of our role models, because I take messages from them. Like,
yeah,
I take lessons from them. When I started this journey, well, first of all, I didn't really know I was gonna, be on the TV. But when I started public speaking, I took lessons and like Rome. I took the influence from Lady Zainab Salamullah alaiha
MashaAllah.
myself.
MashaAllah.
Because
MashaAllah.
when you look at her in Karbala, what did she do? She like look at her ilm. Like if you look at her knowledge, she just went out there and she was talking to the king of that time, Yazid. She was talking to, and like she was given the laqab, she was given the nickname of Mujahida, which means raising the voice of truth in front of the evil king at that time.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's what I see the lessons from. So again, if you think women shouldn't do like public speaking, they shouldn't be out there, then I'm sorry, you don't know the history. Then you don't know how we got the main lessons of Islam. It's all women who was putting it out there,
MashaAllah.
you know.
MashaAllah.
And we have like surahs of like women, like Surah Maryam is in the Quran. We've got a whole Surah Kausar on a lady, the luminous lady. Like, look at the rank of women in Islam. Like, if you need to
MashaAllah.
understand that from the Quran itself, we've got a whole Surah Nisa on women.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen any religion who emphasis on the fact of women being so, ahead? And they, again, I'm not saying men shouldn't be like a leader or anything. That's not my point. From a woman perspective, I'm saying that we can always take on the role of being a leader if we're observing the full hijab and if we're, following the morals of Islam.
So, Syeda, we're going to take a very, very small break. After that, we're going to talk about more of your personal endeavors and your projects related to writing books and your pursuit of knowledge in Hawza. So, inshallah, we're going to take a small break, ladies and gentlemen. When we're back, we're going to carry on our discussion with Syeda Sara Mehdi Rizvi. Welcome back, dear viewers of Morning Barakah, exclusively on Imam Hussein TV 3. You've just seen an advert on Imam Hussein Charity. Fantastic work that they do. I personally have collaborated with them on numerous different programs. Look out for their Ramadan programs. It's going to be amazing. So please do visit their website, imamhusseincharity.com, for more information on Imam Hussein Charity. Now, joining me, if you've just joined the program right now, you've missed the first half of what was an intriguing conversation about female empowerment, but specifically taking examples of female historical figures in Islam with the learned Syeda Sara Mehdi Rizvi, who joins us from Manchester online. Manchester, is it, or is it somewhere else? Manchester?
Bolton.
Oh, Bolton.
Around
Sorry.
Manchester. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, up north in England. But look, Sarah, it's been a very, very interesting conversation. We've talked about the theory. I want to talk more about you personally and your pursuit of knowledge. You mentioned, behind the scenes that you started your religious education from the age of 7. Talk us about that. Talk to us about that a bit more.
Okay. Thank you, first of all. And secondly, I'd like to thank my parents for this, because it's really important to, again, it's all about the upbringing and raising the children in a way that you remember. And they literally, reminded me of my purpose in this life all the time. So they've always like wanted, all of my 4 siblings, they really wanted to like tell us to live for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to live for the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And they've always reminded us that this world is temporary and our main purpose should be pleasing Allah and the Imam of our time. So basically I used to take private lessons from Pakistan, Madrasatul Qaim, and it's a really big madrasa now, alhamdulillah. From the age of 7, I used to take classes from there, and then I stopped around the age of, I think, 13, and then I took a 2 years like private classes from Qum again, from an alima over there, and then from the age of 15 to 18, obviously I was focusing on my college and uni admissions and all that stuff. That's the time. I'm actually not from here. We're from Belgium. I was born in Belgium and raised there for 15 years, but we moved here when I was 15. So I came here in year 11, and then it's a very interesting story. My mother came up to me once and she was like, Sarah, why not? Since you're already in college, you're settled down, you know what you're doing. Why don't you start, continuing the Islamic education you like, took a break of? I was like, okay. And then I was stuck. I was in a dilemma. I didn't really know what to do because I was, still figuring out the new, environment in the UK, new friends, new school. And then one night, I slept and I had a dream. I don't really share this, but I was like, okay, I'll just share it
Thank you
just
very
to,
much.
people take, yes, just to
Thank you.
people take influence from it. So I slept and I saw an imam in my dream. Yeah, okay, so it was a third imam. And I also recite, nohas and eulogies. So at that time, in that dream, I was reciting a noha I recited in Manchester. And in that dream, I was reciting that noha, and then immediately there was an announcement that the sacred head of Imam Hussein has come, and they literally put it like in my dream. They put it in front of me. Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
And I'm looking at the head, and in the Masaib and the Musiba, we hear how Lady Sakina, encountered the head of her father.
Yeah.
That's how I felt, and that was how I encountered it. Yeah, and I'm looking at it, and Imam Hussein's face is literally bruised and injured and everything.
Wow.
And I'm wearing this chadar. This was the first time I bought it in Iraq when I was 7, when hijab was
SubhanAllah.
wajib on me. So um, I'm cleaning it with this, and he's got a big mark on his forehead, and I'm sobbing and crying, and I'm cleaning it with this chadar, and I'm like, Imam Hussein, why isn't this stopping? Like, why isn't the blood stopping?
Yeah, I was saying.
So in the dream, he talks to me and he says, Sarah, this is something which is never going to stop. And it basically was talking about the message of truth, the message of
Yeah.
Karbala,
Yeah.
the sacrifice he made. And then he says, I really want you to put it out there and spread it out there. And that's when I woke up, and it was Fajr, and immediately, I prayed, and then I did like an amal.
Yeah.
I gave tawassul to Lady Zahra, and then from that day I enrolled to all my classes again, and I started sitting on the mimbar, as in like not the proper mimbar. I'm not
Yeah.
capable of that right now.
Yeah.
But I did small majalises with my cousins, with the young ladies over here. And then I started, giving speeches on my
Yeah.
previous knowledge. And alhamdulillah, at the age of 18, I joined Hawza as well,
Okay.
which is like professional with the degree, not private classes anymore.
So then that transitioned into you, or manifested into you actually writing books. Tell us about the process, and
Yes.
what are the books about?
Okay, so I had another
Dream.
story regarding that. So it was it's no it, it this wasn't a dream.
Oh.
It happened. So
Okay.
basically, when I published a Hadith Kisa coloring book for kids. So once in a majlis, I was reciting the Hadith Kisa, and there was a young boy in front of me, and I asked him, "Do you understand what I read?" And he was like, "No." I was like, how come? He's like, because it's in Arabic. And that's when it clicked. I was like, oh, okay. I need to write something. Like, I need to translate it in English just so the kids know what Hadith Kisa is. It's like the main dua. It's the start of every majalis, every milad. We need to know what it is. So anyways, I wrote the book, alhamdulillah, in 6 months. I translated the Hadith Kisa. I spoke to some graphic designers in Qom. They made it and they compiled the book. It got printed. And then I had the book. And then I had a lot of copies, right? I had like 1,000 copies. So I couldn't find a proper publisher who could grow the audience for the book. So I was really stressed. I, prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I was like, I'm really stressed, and there's so many books. I want children to have them. And then I speak to Imam Zamana regarding this, and I was like, Imam Zamana, listen, I'm gonna leave this matter on to you. I've got a lot of books. You know my intention. I want kids to read it. I want kids to benefit from it. And then it was last time it was last year this time in Rajab, which all
Okay.
this happened. We were called to a niyaz, and we went there, and so this is I spoke to like Imam Zamana at Fajr, and we were invited at 6-7 p.m.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting, I was eating the niyaz, and then I get a call from my father, and my father's like, "Oh, Sarah, okay, yeah, before that, I had been contacting this organization, and they were reading my messages, but they weren't replying." So and I was like, "Why aren't they replying? I really need them to, like, take my books and just give it to the kids." And this had been going on for like 2 months straight. Yeah. So I was really stressed. So when I asked him about Zamana, that's when I was like giving up, and I just left it on him. And my father calls me, and he's like, Sarah, there's a founder of a book organization. He sat right next to me, and he was telling me about his organization, and then I told him that, oh, my daughter published books, and she's been looking for a publisher. Bear in mind, this was the same day I asked him about Rizwana. So
Subhanallah.
he's like, oh, he wants to meet you. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I don't mind. So he comes out from the men. I come out from the women, and it was the same person I was contacting for 2 months.
Wow.
And yes, and then I quickly run. I had my books in my hands because I
Subhanallah.
was giving it out. I was giving it out like for free to kids, whoever
Yeah.
I met there. So I had 10 books in my hand, and I just give it to him, and he's like, "Oh, okay." He looks at my books, and then he says this phrase, which I immediately started crying after that. He said, "In the name of Imam Zamana, we accept your books."
Subhanallah.
And I look at him like that, and I'm like, "So you
How
just
old were
accepted
you,
my books?" Like,
if you don't mind me asking?
sorry,
How many
I'm
years ago was
20.
this? No, no, no. How many years ago was this? Last year,
Oh,
you
like
mentioned.
last year,
Oh,
last year.
mashallah, mashallah.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. So that's
So
one book.
yeah,
What you also have another book on Imam Zaman?
yeah, and then literally 7 months later, okay, this is because of Hawza. Okay, so since Imam Zamana helped me, obviously I did. It's not like I didn't believe in him or anything, but my yaqeen got even stronger, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow. So he does help. He is actually there.
Yeah.
So I was having this Hawza class on Mehdi, on the era where Imam Zamana will reappear and everything, and
Yeah.
my teacher was telling me everything on how we can purify ourselves as youth, what can we do to prepare for him, and I was like, wow, these are some things the youth don't even know. So the concept of Raja, the return, and just general things. So the book talks about like a story of Imam Ali and a young lost girl, and then there are a lot of different, chapters in that book, and I contribute a lot of topics into that. So I was like, wow, these are things the youth don't know. So I sat and I compared Shia Sunni books. It took me around 8 months to compare and get all the
Oh wow.
details online. I researched, so I got Sunni and Shia references in it. So listen, the main lesson of Islam and Imam Hussein was unity. So I was like, why not take Shia Sunnis together and put the message of Imam Zamana out there?
Wow.
So that's when I read that book.
So the second book
Yeah.
is more about facts on Imam Zaman, or was there a story that comes in there, like a storybook?
It's more of facts on Imam Zamana, but
Okay.
then I've
Okay.
also added some stories of other imams, how we can implement them and learn lessons from them to
Yeah.
help our
Yeah.
imam.
Yeah.
I hope that makes
So
sense.
in the small couple of minutes that we have left, going back to the children's book that you wrote on Hadith al-Kisa, why are children's books important, especially with the age of digital media? Are books outdated, Syeda?
Books. Okay, no, books aren't outdated. I mean, I'd say books are something that we need to have in our houses. Like, one of the signs of a believer. I'm not gonna give the name of the references. I don't remember, but it is in Bihar and War. But one of the signs of a believer is them having books at home, them having things to read at home. So I say, no matter how advanced technology gets, no matter how advanced, digital media gets, children need to know the importance of books. That if you look at our historical figures before, they used to give so much respect and importance to their amama and their books, because books are something that will give there'll be witnesses on the day of judgment, and they'll be like, yeah, Sarah read me. Digital media won't. Social media won't. But books are something that will speak on the day of judgment. We've got various hadiths on the facts of books supporting you and coming as a shield in front of the hellfire when
Yeah.
when we die.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I wrote books was just so even if I die, I still get sawab each and every time a child opens a book. Each and
Yeah.
every time a youth opens a book, I get the sawab. So that's one of the reasons as well.
Sarah, it's been an absolutely fantastic conversation with you. I wish we could,
Thank
we
you.
have more time to discuss. There are many more things I wanted to ask you, but, best of luck with your Islamic pursuit of education. I'm a
Thank you very much.
massive advocate of that, and I'm going to support you as much as I can. And thank you very much for coming onto the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sarah, Syeda, Sarah Mehdi Rizvi from Bolton, Manchester, anywhere up north, basically. I'd love to have her in the studio. However, obviously, when it comes to Morning Barakah, I look far and wide for guests that have interesting conversations. And that means either going to America, Australia, Africa, or up north in England. Now, up next...